we have learned what it means to be an Oregon National Guard Youth Challenge Program graduate. We are proud of what we have accomplished. We have faced our fears. We've experienced the satisfaction of giving to the community. And hopefully, when we leave here today, we will stand a little taller with our heads held high.
Ladies and gentlemen, the young people before you today are a reflection of the potential that exists if we do not give up, if we continue to seek alternative educational methods to reach our kids.
The simplest way that I can sum up my life story, my success story, is simply this: realized potential. Realized potential. And I'm a firm believer that every single person has an amazing amount of potential built within them. We don't know what this is until we go through the process of weeding out things in our life, of finding our strength, finding our weaknesses, finding our talents. And that realized potential, as I look back and have the benefit of hindsight 20/20 vision, I can look back and I can see that my potential has been realized to this point, but is not going to stop at this point. I am in transition. I am moving on to something bigger and better, something greater. I'm going to spend the majority of my life not playing football when I have spent 75% of my life playing football, which is a strange emotion for me to handle. But when you think about realized potential, when you think about achieving your potential, a lot of times we want to have an excuse not to. Fear is a great motivator as much as it is a great demotivator. And I've heard it many times that the fear of failure often keeps people away from success and keeps us from a point at which we can succeed at things that we want to. But there's actually another aspect of failure that I think is just as damaging, if not more, and that's having any reason to fail. Sometimes we all look for an excuse to fail so that we don't have to try. And I know that the cadets here, sitting in these chairs right now, whom I'm so proud of, had every reason to fail, had every reason to give up. And some of them got to the point where they said, "This is my last shot." And look at you now. Remarkable. My story was filled with very much the same reasons to fail. I was born to a drug-addicted mother. I had very severe physical problems at birth for the first few years of my life. The drug addiction, the alcoholism destroyed my family. I have a great father who I owe so much to, who kept me by his side at all times and watched over me. I had to deal with an abusive stepmother when my father remarried. I had to deal with the odds of being a success story and succeeding at anything coming from such a small area as Winston, Oregon, where I eventually ended up growing up. I saw my sister run away at 14 years old, and I wouldn't see her for 20 years. And I remember asking her, "Where were you all these times?" After she had been through rehab and got her life back together, and she said, "I just lived with any drug addict who would have me in there and help me get what I needed." And I thought, man, I was robbed of a pretty beautiful relationship. Her son chose to succumb to reasons to fail. When I talk to him and try to encourage him, all I hear from him is, "Well, my mother did this and she did that and she didn't do this and she didn't do that." And I think those are reasons to succeed. I have the exact same experiences to draw back on and whine about so that other people could look at me and say, "You would have every right not to be a success story. Look at all you had to go through." See, the fear of failure is big, but having a reason to fail sometimes is bigger. I chose in 6th grade, when I had to go to the 6th grade teacher with my father and listen to my 6th grade teacher call us into a meeting at the end of the year and say, "Mr. Bidwell, your son Joshua has not done well enough in his grades academically to move on to the 7th grade. You think I'm white now. Imagine how pale I was at that point, thinking I was going to get held back. And I remember Mrs. Wilkerson looking at me and looking at my father and saying, I know that he's learned enough. I know that he has what it takes to move on to the 7th grade, and so I'm choosing to pass him on his potential. But I'm warning you, if he doesn't change his motivation and his drive, it's going to be very, very damaging to him. And I remember that ride home with my father. He's a quiet man, but silence killed me at this point. He drove me about halfway home. We lived in the woods. He pulled over about halfway home. Thought he was going to take me in the woods. And he looked at me and he said, Joshua, what do you want most in life? And at that point, I had already known that I wanted to play in the NFL. Those grown-ups got to play a game for a living. What's greater than that? And he says, do you realize that if you don't do well in school, you will not make it to the NFL? And he explained to me the steps from high school to college. You have to pass academically. From college on, you have to pass academically. And then that gives you a shot at the pros. I decided my 6th grade year, that was my decision point. Similar to the decision point that you all made months ago when you first signed up. And we saw in the video, you were pretty rough looking at that time, weren't you?
Sir, yes, sir!
I decided at that point that I was going to apply myself and have no regrets. To have no regrets in life doesn't mean that you do not fail. Having no regrets in life is trying as hard as you can, and if you fail, you knew there was no chance of success at that position you were in. And you build on that, and you find what successes are out there laying for you. I chose at 6th grade to do that. And my 7th grade year, my very first report card, I'd never gotten anything like this, was a 4.0. Now, I'll be the first to admit even now that taking tests and schoolwork are a little more difficult for me than for a lot of my friends, but I applied myself. And when I got that 4.0, you can be rest assured that that built in me a confidence to know I have something in here that I didn't know was there. And it's not until you achieve something that you didn't know you could do that you get that feeling inside of you. You guys have all achieved something amazing. I can't believe that even a couple months ago when I came here, you looked great, but you don't look as good as you do right now. But I am so proud of you. I'm so honored to be a part of this. I'm so honored to connect my success story exactly with your success story. You don't have any idea what you're capable of right now, but you know that you're capable. And that's important. Take these lessons that you learned. Take the confidence that you have inside of you and trust that even if things fail, if you tried as hard as you could, then you knew it wasn't meant to be and you move on to the next challenge. I brought my 4-year-old here today because I wanted him to look up to people that I am proud to say I would like him to be like. God bless you, cadets, and your new journey. Thank you.
Jonathan Giacola has earned 8.5 credits.